This final presentation on the literary elements in the Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini will help you to understand this week's reading assignment so that you can discuss it in depth in our 2 discussion forums. You must use at least one direct quote from the literary work and at least one direct quote from a literary expert in the 4 discussions posts that you write each week, and this will be our final week. The recommendations for further study folder will help you start your research. Let's begin this presentation with the author's background. Khaled Hosseini was born in Kabul, Afghanistan in 1965. He he is the son of a diplomat. The family moved to Paris and then to California to escape the Russian communist coup and the invasion of their army. The family was granted political asylum in the United States. Dr. Hosseini earned a medical degree and practices as a physician. He does more writing now, though. He published The Kite Runner, an international bestseller, in 2003. He continues to write novels in California. He also provides humanitarian assistance in Afghanistan through the Khaled Hosseini Foundation. The setting begins at Amer's home in California, and there are various settings in Afghanistan as well. The time is the summer of 2001 in California, and then we flash back to the early 1970s in Kabul. Occupations are important because this is a novel about class struggle. Baba is a member of the wealthy upper class, and Ali is a Hazara and a servant because of his race. There's class struggles between the Hazaras and the wealthy upper class. The Hazaras are discriminated against. The political climate occurs because the Soviets invaded Afghanistan and caused wealthy citizens to escape in the 1970s. So we saw an influx of immigrants, and I'm sure we see much more now in the 21st century. We're a globally diverse culture now, so that's why it's important for us to understand the political climate, the setting, what was going on in the countries where our new citizens or our new immigrants visiting came from. Of course, in this novel, as well as class struggles and political issues, family relationships are very important. Infidelity and racial prejudices keeping families apart. That's a crucial theme. The characters are first to start out with Amr, the narrator who moves to the United States and tries to leave his past behind him, but he can't. Hassan is Amir's best friend, and without Amr knowing it as a child and for a lot of his adult life, Hassan is actually his half-brother as well. Soreb is Hassan's son, who moves to the United States to live with Amr at the end of the novel. Ali is the servant who acts as Hassan's father, while he works for Baba, the biological father. Now, Baba is the rich father of Amr, and of course, we know as the readers, we find out that Hassan is also his son. SF is the racist who becomes a Taliban warlord. And Soraya is Amr's wife, who is also an expatriate from Afghanistan. So this is another novel about expatriates, but this time it's the reverse. We have immigrants who left their own country to come to live in the United States, and that often occurred because of political struggles in the other country. The themes are the quest for redemption. Amr is trying to leave his past behind him, but he knows that something's wrong, both with defects in his own character, that he did not always treat Hassan the way he should have. And there's also political upheaval and personal sacrifices. There's class struggles, there's sibling rivalry, and there's the resiliency of the human spirit. The plot moves back and forth somewhat. The novel opens in the present. Amr receives a phone call that causes him to return to Afghanistan, where he was born. The story continues as a flashback to when Amr and his closest friend Hassan, who is later identified as his half-brother, fly a kite. Amr fails to protect Hassan and thus shows that he is the weaker son of Baba, who does not acknowledge Hassan as his son. Hassan is harassed because he is a Hazara. Baba worries that Amr is weak and flawed, which turns out to be true when Amr does not defend Hassan. Baba and Amr escape to California. They're wealthy and they can do that. Hassan stays in Afghanistan, marries, has a son, and dies. He has a lot of unpleasant things that happen to him because of the fact that he is a Hazara. Returning to the present-day setting, Amr rescues Hassan's son by taking him to California. And why he can do that is because of a humanitarian visa that allows him to do that. The symbolism is important, and I think we see more of it because we are looking at the graphic version of the novel. Glasses are often symbolic because they deal with vision, which can be a physical sense but also psychological. The dark glasses that the racist antagonist Asif wears symbolize his desire to hide his identity and also his lack of insight as a Taliban warlord and an abuser of children. The kite symbolizes freedom, but also the guilt that Amr lives with because he made a decision to betray his half-brother Hassan. He did not know that that was his half-brother, so that he could impress his father, who also is Hassan's father, by bringing back the kite from the competition. The point of view in the writing style is crucial because we're looking at a graphic novel. Now, sometimes we may have the impression that graphic novels are just glorified comic books and they have to be silly stories, unbelievable things that superheroes do, or little comics about children like Jughead and other characters or the Simpsons. But this isn't true. This is a relatively newer art form where we're taking the text and blending it with colors and shapes, and the shapes can mean something. If they are straight lines and squares, that doesn't create as much attention, for example, as if they would be wavy lines and irregular shapes. The colors are very important. A traditional novel, the author can say that it's a bright, brilliant sunset, but now we have a blending of words and color and images. So there's much more going on. So when you read a graphic novel, don't just look at the author, Hosseini, but also look at Saloni and Andolfo, because they help to create the graphic portion of it. As far as the point of view, we have a first-person narrator, Amr. He's living with that guilt. He knows there's flaws in his character that caused him in the past to not treat Hassan right, and he's living with that guilt. Most of the story is revealed through dialogue rather than the first-person narrator. There's a dramatic use of color for time of day and evening. The color is also used to create atmosphere. For example, there are lighter colors for children flying kites compared to darker colors for scenes depicting violence and fear. And you have a balance of both. You get a sense of the way Hassan lives with a father that is really an adopted father for him, not his natural father, and he lives as a servant. He's not wealthy enough, even though in reality his real father is wealthy. And we see the picture of what Kabul was like before the invasion. and after. So these colors they do a lot to give us this feeling of when things were nice and calm and when things shifted. But we have to realize when things were nice and calm and bright colors for the people living in the affluent lifestyles, there were darker times because the children and the slaves and the servants were abused. We have to notice the interplay between the text and the images as they create the story. There's differences in size and symmetry, or lack of it, for the squares. So this concludes our presentations. This is the last one, and I look forward to reading your posts about this fascinating story.